Every county in New York State, listening to people's concerns. The Sharpe Way is a show where answers, solutions, and common ground can be found so that together we can forge a new way forward. The Sharpe Way is the way to mutual respect, where no one has to convert to be heard, because you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want, as long as you aren't forcing your beliefs on others. Welcome to Sharpe Way Radio.
Hey, it is Larry Sharpe here, WYSL Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. So happy that you are with me this afternoon. Yes, if you want to chat, you can. You can just call in 585-346-3000. That is the number. You know, I was looking at what's happening this weekend here in New York City specifically, my areas that I walk around in my neighborhood here in Queens. Made me think of something that might not seem to connect immediately. But when I was a teenager, 15, 16 years old, I don't remember, I was in high school, I wanted to gamble. I wanted to play poker with my friends and try to make money. I thought that was important and cool. So one of my other friends wanted to also. So did some of my other friends. We wanted to do that. So we went over to one of my friend's houses, to his house, and we started to gamble. We had coins, right? We're high school kids. We didn't have a bunch of money, but we had coins. We had broken down to quarters and nickels and dimes. It's also the 80s. And we are playing poker at his house. His mom is there. She's a stay-at-home mom at the time. And she notices us doing it. And at first, when she hears us talking, she thinks we're just playing a game. She realized that we're actually gambling. And when she sees it, she goes nuts. So unhappy, so angry. How dare you? You can't do this. Throws us out of the house. We can't do it, right? Get out. Don't want you ever doing that. Blah, blah, blah. Mad. We all leave. Pissed off, boys. Mad that we can't go gamble because we want to be cool like the guys. Well, we couldn't do it. So, okay, now where are we going to go? If the moms are going to get mad, now what are we going to do? All right, we thought, here's a good deal. We'll go to the library. True story. We went to the library. We thought we could just gamble here. We'll just keep our voices down. But there's tables. People don't bother you. There's no parents there. We'll be fine. We'll gamble there. So we went there and we started gambling. And we were smart. We kept our voices down. And the librarians initially thought we were playing some game. They didn't care. Then they came by and realized we were gambling. And they got mad. I said, you can't do that. You cannot do that at all. No, you got to get out. Mad. I'm like, man, can't gamble here. What's going on? So then, being savvy teenagers, we thought, okay, they initially weren't mad at us because they thought we were playing a game. So why don't we play with fake money? So we played with fake money. We went and got Monopoly money, seriously Monopoly game, pulled all the money out. And then all of the Monopoly bills, they were all counted as cents. So a $500 bill was $5. A $1 bill was a penny, et cetera, et cetera. And we just cashed in our money early on and then used the paper bills. So we went back to the library and put paper bills. The librarian came over. And, are you guys gambling? We said, no, we're playing. It's fake money. She's like, oh, okay. You're good. Walked away. Life was good. All right, now we're gambling, having fun, winning and losing money. It was real money. We were actually playing with real money. Like we all had jobs. So we were actually putting our money into the pot and actually playing. Well, now we're good, right? Well, one of the guys wants to come and play and join. So he's like, oh, you guys really gambling? I'm like, yeah, come on in. He comes in. So we've got like 5 or 6 guys maybe gambling, all teenagers. So one of the guys who joins and starts playing with us, cashing his money in, loses almost everything. So angry. He leaves, pissed off. We come back the next week to play, and somehow the librarian knows that we've been actually gambling. I'm sure that kid right now is an amazing FBI agent. Probably was down in Jan 6. I'm sure he's a great, infiltrator right now. But that kid obviously ratted us out. He was the narc. And all of a sudden now we couldn't gamble there either. And we were really angry and upset. I actually gave up on it. I was like, you know what? It's done. Well, I'll find other ways of having fun or trying to be cool guy, whatever. But one of my friends never really recovered from that. He really wanted to do these things. And he found other ways of doing the things that aren't great. And it moved on to other things that weren't great for him. And eventually, it really hurt his life. Why do I tell you this story? What does this have anything to do with what's happening in New York right now? Because in New York City right now, there are tons of people who are trying to make money selling weed. Yes, which is illegal and people don't like in many cases, right? Unless you have the specific license to sell weed. Lots of smoke shops here in New York City, tons of them across the state, obviously, but I see it here where I am. I'm sure you see some over there where you are. Oh, I see it here all the time. And the cops now are cracking down on them. But they're not obviously openly announcing that they're selling weed. It doesn't say weed store, right? It says smoke shop or something. They might say, well, wait a minute, Larry. Smoke shop. Of course you're selling weed. Before that, they weren't. You know what most of those smoke shops were selling? Vaping products. That's correct. Then the vaping industry did something that I thought was crazy, but did anyway. They said, let's work with the government so that we can be regulated. And the government said, oh, you're going to give us any power? We're going to regulate you out of the state. And they did. New York State basically threw the vaping industry out of the state. Because you know what this state needs less of? Industry and jobs and entrepreneurship. Clearly, I'm being sarcastic, but this state does not care. So it went out of its way to crush the vaping industry. And it did. So these smoke shops said, well, I can't sell vaping products anymore. What should I sell? So they started instead selling glassware. Now, when I say glassware, what do I actually mean? Well, I mean bongs. But you can't say bong because that's against the law. But glassware, that's legal. You're seeing how dumb this is already? Yeah. So they started doing that instead. Well, if you're going to start selling the bongs and the glassware and those things and paraphernalia, you can't call it paraphernalia because then it's illegal. Because you can't have paraphernalia to drugs even though you don't have the drug, because that's also illegal. Again, see how stupid that is. But that's also true. To the point where literally, if you have a plastic bag where you might put your drugs in, the plastic bag is considered paraphernalia, and you get another charge in New York State against you because you had a plastic bag. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. So now they're doing this. Well, now weed is, in theory, legal in New York State. In theory. Because you have to go through, though, the Office of Cannabis Management. Office of Cannabis Management is run by whom?
Sean.
Friends of the government. That's who it's run by. Friends of the government. So the Office of Cannabis Management is now run by people who 5 or 10 years ago were literally hammering and putting people in jail. Literally putting people in jail for having weed, destroying their lives. Now they run the Office of Cannabis Management. Because you know what cannabis needed? Regulation. It's been in the black market for 100 years. No one's dying from it. And now you require regulation. Now you might say to yourself, Larry, I'm against cannabis. I don't want people smoking it. I don't want people having it. I don't like it. Actually, I'm kind of with you. I don't do weed at all myself. I'm kind of with you. But when people want to do weed, they're going to find a way to do weed or find a way to do something like it. Just like me and my friends when we wanted to gamble as teenagers. It was against the law. We went in our house. They stopped us. We went to the library. They stopped us. We lied. The narked us out. And my other friend wouldn't stop until eventually it ruined his life. That's a common thing. So what's happening now in New York City? These smoke shops trying to survive. They wanted to sell vaping products. That's what they were selling for years. And the government said, no, you can't sell this product. Why? Because our friends can't make money off it. So you got to get crushed. So we'll let people sell weed, but only to make sure that you can't compete with them. There are only, if I'm not mistaken, 4 legal weed stores in New York City. 4. There are 8.5 million New Yorkers in New York City. 4 stores. That's maybe, I'm being generous when I say 1% of 1% of the dealers in this city. It's embarrassing and it hurts people. Our system constantly helps the elite and hurts the small guy. Whether you or I like it or not doesn't matter. Why are we punishing poor people? Why are we punishing entrepreneurship? Why are we punishing small business owners and allowing the heavy hitters and the government friends to win again and again and again? Weed is just one example of so many of them as we punish again and again. Am I wrong? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Do you want to do weed? That's fine. Tell me that too. Whatever you think's appropriate. Larry Sharpe, the Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back with your calls and the chat after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix?
Okay, we have Sean. He said you asked him to call in.
Customer service or attention to detail.
Yeah, so I figured I sent it to break, so I didn't want you to go to him and then go to break and then have to go back to him.
SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row.
All right, I also have Roger on hold. Are you going to go stick with Sean for a while, and do you want me to have him call back?
The professionals at SimpleTech Innovations are called today for a consultation at 5.
No, I already have Sean into the board. But I know that you specifically asked him to call him because he said he was calling. He does a podcast. So that's why I was asking you, how long do you think you're going to go to Sean? I'll give Roger a heads up.
Little experiment, Zach. Look what I have under the microscope. Ugh, what's that? A sample of indoor air. How can it be?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I didn't want to have him hang on the line if you were going to do 10 minutes with Sean. Thanks.
A whole house APCO air purifier to detox the air. Odors, chemicals, mold, bacteria, and viruses are removed.
For clean indoor air.
Yep. Ain't science awesome?
Taylor, 500 help.
With incompetent, devious Washington and Albany leadership and a corrupt corporate media that uses news and social to control and mislead, it's important to preserve freedom of speech and to promote a truth-based society for our families.
Okay, Roger will call back either bottom of the hour or whenever you're done with Sean.
Your business, professional practice, or organization.
You're welcome.
So allocate your ad dollars here. Take advantage of a huge audience, entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL station's the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, indeed. It is Larry Sharpe back here on WYSL, Rochester, New York State, the greatest state. Well, the most beautiful state. I'll say that. Sharpe Way Radio, 585-346-3000. For the break, I was talking about gambling. I was talking about weed stores and government being involved with people trying to just make it. Be happy. It is a thing that the government does constantly. I'm going to grab a caller if I can. I'm going to grab Sean. Sean, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
What's going on? Talk to me.
Oh, man. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you could hear me. I'm good, man. I'm Sean. I'm from Buds and Reality Podcast. I'm out of Detroit. And we talked a little bit about the recreational weed on a Twitter thread yesterday. So I'm here to give you my 2 cents on what's going on here in Michigan.
I'm listening.
Back in 2008, it was passed through a proposal that we could have medical marijuana. This is November of 2008. They were giving out licenses to people under patient caregiver statuses. Patients could have up to 2.5 ounces of weed on them at a time or grow themselves 12 plants. But if you were a caregiver, you could have 12 plants and up to per patient, and you could have up to 5 patients. And then you could, buy, sell, or trade like that.
Sean,
in that time,
hold on 1 second, Sean. One second. I have been openly, and I still am, 100% against medical cannabis. I think it is a terrible idea. Why do I say that? Because it's a plant. I don't want to treat it like a drug. The second we regulate it like a drug, and there has to be licenses. I would ask you, is there a license for you to have to grow tomatoes in your backyard? It isn't. Is there a limit to plants that I can have? Tomato plants I can have in my backyard? There isn't. Do I have to have a license to go buy seeds? No, there isn't. And there shouldn't be. I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect. I'm sure it is. What I'm saying is what you're saying is the reason why I'm against it. You should simply decriminalize marijuana, cannabis, period, or regulate it like a plant. If you're going to regulate it, as I said before, regulate it like onions, but I'll take tomatoes, green beans, I don't care. Regulate it like that. And now the average person can actually self-medicate if they want to, as we do with alcohol and other things, and pizza and soda and cigarettes or whatever that we want to do. Or a small business owner can start their own business. My whole thing was, if you like your dealer, keep your dealer.
You're 100% correct. I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a plant, and I've always treated it as such. I use it on a daily basis as medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, as far as the legalities went here, they did try to open up some head shops in the very beginning of all this, and the feds would just come in here and shut them down right away. As soon as they would open, the feds would be in there and raid them. And then, so they kind of gave up on the whole thing for a while. I mean, there might have been some popping up here and there in Michigan, not too many though, after all the raids. And then in 2018, they went full recreational, and then it got real weird with how they were picking and choosing licenses. Certain areas were getting all the licensing for recreational. Most of them in suburban areas, you know, who they wouldn't give recreational license to was the Detroit shops. Not a single Detroit shop was allowed to have a recreational license up till recently. They just passed it, and now they're picking and choosing who gets to have those, even though these shops have been open medically for years now. But now they're just saying, oh, well, you still can't have it. It's, you know, once again, it's just government getting in the way of medication.
Absolutely. Oh, but I'm going to go one step further, because some people don't want to use it as medicine. And I respect that. You should put in your body what you feel is appropriate to put in your body. No worries. But shouldn't the individual care about people starting actual legal businesses in their neighborhoods versus illegal businesses? Being able to hire people and pay taxes like any other business? Wouldn't you want that? People are going to buy weed. People are going to sell weed. That's going to happen. Wouldn't you rather have it in the safest environment as possible? This is where my head is. I agree with you, Sean, on the medicine piece. I'm just saying, I know there are people who don't, and I'm okay with that. But wouldn't you still want your economy to grow locally?
Well, I mean, absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, we all know that the black market is the only free market out there.
Yes.
With no regulation.
I wish you were wrong. I wish you were wrong.
That's the way it goes. I mean, I'm all, go support your local weed dealer for real. I mean, and then you're not paying 18% tax on it, because that's how they do it here in Michigan anyways. If you are a recreational user, your tax is 3 times the sales tax as if you were a medical patient. I mean, it's a big racket here, really. It needs to be decriminalized across the board.
You have hit it perfectly. They've turned it into a racket, right? That's the problem. They have turned it into a racket. They don't care about, they act like they care about people, right? It's always on the idea of, well, we care about people. That's why we have to protect them. That's what they say. In reality, it's like, how do I get my cut in this? How do I get my beak wet as all this money is going around? How do I reward the people who are donating to me by putting them on board so they can decide who gets what when, so they can help out their friends by making big deals for the future? This is the biggest issue. Sean, I think you're completely correct. Wouldn't the answer, though, be if you were a governor or an assemblyman or some local politician saying, feds, you're not welcome in my town. Feds, you're not welcome in my state. I'm not going to help you at all. In fact, I'm going to hinder you. I'm going to make sure you cannot do this. And if you try to use anyone, I'm going to go out of my way to stop it. And I'm going to publicly show what you're doing. Wouldn't that be
you're speaking
better?
My language right now with the nullification process then right there.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Make nullification great.
Absolutely. This is what I was talking about, right? When I was talking about running for governor, when I was talking about getting sheriffs to be involved, you have to let them know, I'm not going to help you. You're not welcome in my state. If you're going to come in my state and raid weed shops, you're not welcome. You will get no state assets. You will get no help. And then when you do it, I will tell the press that you're there so the press can show you how evil you are. So you can actually have people hating you. So you'll stop doing it. 100%. There's another piece here. And this is the part that bothers me. You know, my state obviously is run completely by Democrats. And the Democrats will always say, we care about brown and black people. They will always say that up and down all day long. They will say that. But who's being punished by this? Brown and black people who own small stores here in New York City. Their laws are literally punishing the people who they say they love and they want to help. They're not doing it at all.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir here. We got Gretchen Whitmer out here in Michigan. I mean, I see it every day, and I live in a predominantly black neighborhood. I mean, I see it firsthand every day.
Absolutely. It's so hypocritical, right? It's so hypocritical that they're going to sit there and say, we care about poor people and we care about, you know, the inner city, yet we'll make laws that will send more cops into those cities, more cops into those neighborhoods, and have now more charges for all of those young black and brown people who are trying to, as you know this, I guess I'm preaching to the choir here too, Sean, a lot of the people who are doing this, whether they're owners or working for these stores, they have criminal backgrounds. They can't get good jobs because the good jobs are pushing them away. This is their chance of getting back on their feet so they can actually have a job, make money, pay their bills, be a productive citizen, not do crime, not do it. And we're saying, oh, no, you can't do that. We're going to make you a criminal again. And then we wonder why so many of them go back to jail. It's insane.
It's the song that never ends. I mean, really, it's the same story. It's the same shit, different day, every time. You know, when it comes to these people, you know, I'm a hardcore libertarian anarchist. So, you know, everything you're saying right now, I'm agreeing with you 100%.
100%. We've got to move it more towards that. The problem is still, for most people, they're afraid, right? And the thing that I say all the time is that most of the problems that we have in America that we really hate, that we're bothered by, that annoy us, they all came from the same problem. And that problem is afraid Americans. When Americans are afraid, we make bad decisions, and that gets us all these terrible laws. We have to create a system where Americans aren't afraid, which is why you will always hear me say, I get why some people don't like this. I don't want to make you afraid, because if I do, you're going to pass a really bad law. So I don't want you to be afraid. Be okay. Feel safe. Let us do what we want to do. You go do what you want to do. Let's not pass any laws. That's where my head is, Sean. Are you in the same world or no?
I am in the leave everybody alone realm. Like, get out of the way and let the market do its thing.
I like that.
You know,
let's leave everybody alone.
Whatever it be, you know, whatever type of business it is, just get out of the way. Not just weed business, any business. The free market is hardly free, and it's because
the point you bring up, I don't know if you heard my conversation before this. This came up because the government in New York State crushed the vaping business. The illegal, and I am using air quotes when I say that, the illegal cannabis businesses, they exploded because there was an infrastructure for the vaping business here that was gutted. If they didn't gut the vaping business, we wouldn't have been able to create so many illegal cannabis businesses, because the vaping industry was there and people were making money on that. Most of these smoke shops, they just want to have a place where people can enjoy, where they can make money and build a community. If that's vaping, fine. If that's weed, fine. The government actually created the problem and now is punishing you for the problem they created. They should have left vaping alone and left cannabis alone, and there would be a mix of both of those. Some people use vaping to stop smoking weed, and the reverse, because they want to do whatever they want to do. I agree with you, Sean, completely.
Well, awesome. I mean, this is awesome, Larry. Thank you.
Okay, stop. Great. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. So, look, is Sean right? Am I right? Do you want to open a weed shop? Oh, good. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way Radio. WYSL, Rochester, New York. Back with more of your calls and your chat. I promise I'll get to the chat after the break.
For truth and freedom.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC.
So FYI, I potted Sean down when you started talking after you did it, but he said SH word, and I reminded him this is terrestrial radio. So anytime you invite someone to call in that's used to doing a podcast, please remind them that they're on radio and they have to keep it clean.
Thursday afternoon.
Okay, I'll edit out the podcast. Thanks.
Are you thinking about Medicare insurance? Navigating Medicare and all of its coverage options doesn't have to be confusing. I can help. My name is Dave Moskowitz.
And
I'm an agent authorized to
we have
offer
Keith on the line now.
Medicare plans from United Healthcare Insurance. It's my commitment to provide you with personal, knowledgeable service and help you better understand Medicare and all your coverage options. There's a variety of competitive plans that may meet both your needs and your budget. And as a licensed insurance agent in Rochester, New York, I'd be happy to meet with you in person through video conference or by phone to address any questions about your unique healthcare coverage needs. Don't delay. Call me, Dave Moskowitz, at 585-820-5217 so I can help you choose a plan with confidence and discover what may make AARP Medicare plans from United Healthcare a great choice for you. That's 585-820-5217.
United Healthcare Insurance Company or an affiliate, collectively United Healthcare, pays royalties to AARP. AARP is not an insurer and does not employ or endorse agents, producers, or brokers. AARP encourages you to consider your needs when selecting products and does not make product recommendations for individuals.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
WYSL.
Hi, this is Frank Alexander, owner of Alexander's Tree Farm in Dansville. If you have enjoyed my Christmas trees, you will really enjoy this news. The Lions Club of Dansville is presenting its 49th annual show. The theme is Spring Break, a variety show with lots of humor and talent. I have been with the show for many years and can assure you that it is a quality production. Come and enjoy a night out, have lots of laughs, and you may see a friend or neighbor performing on stage. See a live show for less than the price of a movie, and all proceeds go to charity, every penny. Enjoy yourself while helping others. The show is at 7 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, April 20th through 22nd at Dansville High School. Cost is $6 for Thursday and $8 for Friday and Saturday. I'm hoping to see you there. Thank you.
I'm Stephen Nichols with Nichols Electric and Plumbing, and I have excellent news. Our team is now equipped and expanded to take on all of your smaller home projects. If you are looking for drywall work, painting, cabinetry, small carpentry, windows, or anything else on your home project list, our handyman division is ready to serve you with the same care and excellence as our electric and plumbing team. Call 585-427-9310 or visit nicholsep.com to schedule an appointment.
If you are dealing with chronic pain, Dr. Sharpe Patel is now available in the Southern Tier. Serving Noyes, Jones, and St. James hospitals, Dr. Patel is an experienced pain management specialist.
So I asked Keith, please keep it concise, and we have Roger after him.
And has a special interest in the lumbar and cervical spine. Don't let chronic pain impact your quality of life. Ask your doctor for a referral or call 585-243-0150.
Dependable Disposal offers weekly residential service, just $25 a month plus tax. No surcharges. We'll take 3 extra bags weekly, no extra cost. Call Dependable Disposal, 585-505-1500.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, Larry Sharpe is back here on WYSL, Rochester, New York, Sharpe Way Radio. 585-346-3000 is the number. A couple cool chats came in and have been coming in. So what I want to grab real fast is John brings up, he says, you can grow St. John's wort, echinacea, dandelions, and use them medically. Why not marijuana? Well, John, don't give them regulation ideas, number one. But you are correct. I agree with you. If you want to grow and you want to use and you want to medicate or just enjoy, why am I getting in your way? As long as you're not selling to minors, absolutely. As long as you are a consenting adult, I'm fine. Do as you see fit. I completely agree. Let me grab a call if I could. I would like to grab Keith if I could. Keith, how are you?
Some points on your topic. The poor often don't have the structure and financing to start up their own enterprises. So in the weed biz, the state has brought those who have weed convictions into positions of prominence. And just like that, those people are now part of the establishment. Secondly, you mentioned getting them into better jobs. A lot of these people politely are undereducated. I've talked to them over the years. They're lucky if they have an 8th grade education, and many enough of them have
Also
a hard
true.
time reading and writing. But then, third point, following along, some of these drug gang organizations are very complex, how they are run. If we could, by chance, transport those young men into the boardrooms of legitimate businesses, the flow charts are exactly the same. Can you imagine, everyone, if going from drug dealing at a kind of large level, if we could get them educated and morally responsible, getting them into legitimate businesses, we could tap the brain power that they do have. And further, the fourth point and final, they're saying AI, artificial intelligence, is going to be destroying even tens of millions of jobs. We need an educated workforce to create new jobs. New jobs are always created when others dwindle away. We have an undereducated population that is not going to keep up with our adversaries who are big time in the AI, and we need those new jobs created badly.
Well, excuse me. As usual, Keith, you threw a lot at me. Let me see if I can touch a couple of those. The one is, you said that some of the people who have had, I guess, negative experiences, whether that is via drug addiction or through the criminal enterprise, have been put into the establishment. Very few of them have, but you're right. Some of them have. And the problem is, once they get there, the ones they pick, too many of them forget where they came from. So they go up there and they pull the ladder up, and all of a sudden everyone else is still stuck there. I don't mind people in authority putting some people from a marginalized community, I'll say that, into an establishment. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but that doesn't mean that anyone else in that community is helped. Because 2 people who are women, or 2 people who are black, or 2 people who are gay, or insert marginalized community here, because they make it, doesn't mean all of a sudden everybody else is good. I would rather change the environment to where anybody can make that step up. And that goes to your second point, undereducated. You are 100% true. Right, I'm sorry, 100% right. A big issue that people have in the black market is they're educated, but they're uneducated doesn't mean they aren't smart, right? There are many educated people I know who are not very smart, and people who are smart who aren't educated. So I do think that we can make that shift into getting the smart people in. Just because someone can't read or write well doesn't mean they can't communicate well or get a job done well. So we can move them towards that. And in many cases, you look at most entrepreneurs, not all, but most, are uneducated. Higher education and entrepreneurship are diametrically opposed. The people who are entrepreneurs, they hire the highly educated. They aren't the highly educated. As a general rule, most of them aren't. In fact, most of them are dropouts, believe it or not, either college dropouts or even high school dropouts. So if we're pushing entrepreneurship, the education piece is a simple hurdle to get over. Now, the idea about complex gangs, again, you are completely correct. And there are actually a bunch of nonprofits who are trying to do that to make it happen. One of them I remember from years ago was called Defy. They literally had people who had MBAs who were working in finance, and they were trying to mentor people who had been in prison for many years for drug trafficking, to use them to start new businesses, to kind of get them to go straight. The problem, of course, was the financial know your client laws made it to where you really can't do it anymore. Because again, large organizations push out people with bad pasts. So you have to take these people and bring them down the entrepreneurship road. Again, you are correct. It is very difficult for them to raise money, right? If all I've known is the street, the way I make money is on the street. That's all I know. I don't know how to go to a bank. I don't know how to go to a financial institution. I have no idea. So we're going to have to meld those two together. The question is, who does that? Government does a poor job of it. We're going to have to start getting the private sector to make that happen. You are correct again. The last thing you bring up, AI, 100% again, true. But that part, I don't think education is the answer. AI is education. What AI needs is intuition. The people who will do well from AI are the programmers. That's one side. And the second side are the entrepreneurs, because they're going to figure out how to use it. They don't know the stuff. They just go, wait a minute. If this worked, I'm not good at writing, to your point. I'll have AI do it. I'm not good at reading. I'll have AI read it to me, right? So that type of person, I think, will actually survive. I believe that the more entrepreneurial a society is, the better it will survive and thrive in an AI world. I think I covered all your things, Keith. Did I?
You're very good, sir. I don't give out false compliments. You, Mr. Larry Sharpe, are very good. In closing, I agree with you and Sean. Get the blankety-blank government out of the way. Get up more charter schools to get our young people educated. Yes. They can do it, but they've got to be given the opportunity, and obstacles have to be taken out of their way. They can do it if they're given a fighting chance.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call, Keith. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's he's right. He threw a lot
Roger.
at me. He usually does throw a lot at me. But yes, I think we went down all the roads. Let me see if I can grab one more call. I'm going to grab Roger. Roger, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How you doing?
Awesome. Talk to me. Yep.
Oh, okay. So what you just described you said that there's like 5 cannabis shops in New York City.
Yep.
To me, that sounds like a oligopoly.
Yes.
I mean, something should be done about that, don't you think?
Yes. 100% yes. And what drives me crazy about that is that somehow they're righteous about it. So they're like, I've created my cronies and my buddies to make all this money off of this plant that the whole world should have, and that mostly people of lower socioeconomic status have been growing from. You know what? We're going to control it all, and we're righteous, and we'll put you in jail, and we'll punish you if you dare fight back.
I think that was I don't know if you did this based on the article, that link that I sent like a week ago, talking about how they're like conducting raids for on people who don't have the license or whatever. I forgot what the article that I sent was about. I tweet a lot of stuff, but I remember.
I knew. You think I'm not paying attention to you, Roger? I am. People send me stuff literally every day. I get stuff every day somehow in my Twitter inbox, in my email inbox, my Facebook. I get tons. I actually, believe it or not, have a team of people who sometimes help me out to push things through. So I don't always remember who sent me what. Often one of my team will go, hey, you need to look at this, you need to look at that, and that'll get my eye because someone's told me to look at it. But probably what you did is probably part of why I did this. It probably is.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, I thought legalization was supposed to prevent all these raids. What's going on
Yes. Thank you. It was supposed to, if you remember, Roger, it was supposed to help poor brown and black people. Hasn't done that. It was supposed to help farmers. Hasn't done that. It was supposed to stop the cops from raiding in poor neighborhoods. Hasn't done that. It's supposed to end the black market. Hasn't done that. It's done literally nothing it said it was supposed to do.
So I'm like, they look like they're just wanting to have the cops like do something. We need to give them something to do. They're used to raiding.
Yes. They built out this raid infrastructure. I can't turn that away. So let's figure out another way of raiding people. But here's the best part. They get to raid these people, but the people who gave me a bunch of money for my campaign, I get to reward them. I get to reward them by being on a board. Now, you might not know why that matters. Here's why that matters. Let's say I have nothing to do with the cannabis industry whatsoever. You know what I do? I make furniture. That's what I do. Well, why would I want to be on the Office of Cannabis Management Board? Because now I'm going to decide what kind of furniture has to go into a cannabis shop. And I'm going to decide this furniture that I make. And that's legal, by the way. And that's why they do it. So now I decide you have to have this kind of chair or this kind of desk or this type of table or this type of wall, hanging thing, whatever the case may be. And my company makes it. So I make tons of money. So I gave, Kathy Hochul in this theoretical situation, I gave her $20,000 for her campaign. She puts me on this board. I make $500,000 in the next 2 years. That's a good investment.
So let me ask you this then. If we were, okay, matter of fact, you said regulating like plants. Can you what is regulating like? I don't understand farmer agricultural regulation too much. So what would regulate
generally
tomatoes?
When it comes to regulating plants, it's a general rule. There are many exceptions, obviously, but they want to make sure that what you say the plant is what it is, right? So I can't call it a tomato if it's a carrot, right? It's got to be a tomato. And you make rules on what a tomato is. This is a tomato, that's how it is. Whether it's organic or not, there are rules on what's organic. So there's a rules on what's GMO. That's what GMO is, right? So there are rules on how long it can stay out before it's considered rot, those types of things. So treat it like that. That's a fine way. If I say it's weed, it needs to be weed. If there's a percentage of THC, then it is that. That's what I mean by regulation.
I got it. So
that's
they should stop raiding people.
Just stop raiding people, yes. The only way you should raid somebody is if they're lying to the public. So if you say you're giving people weed and you give them oregano, you should get raided. But that's because you lied to your public. But as long as you say it's weed, we're good. Roger, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. Guys, am I right? Am I wrong? Does Roger at a point? Did Keith blow your mind? Let me know. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharpe, Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL Rochester, New York. Back, and I'll grab more of the chat, I promise, and your calls after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned.
Got a funny story for you. This you don't have to mention on the air. Back in the 70s, my grandmother, who lived right in the heart of Avon, in the village, in the business district, my grandma lived over his five and dime until he retired in 1970, and then my dad opened up his dentist office under there. But she would do plants, and one day she got some soil out behind the parking lot behind the dentist office, and we were there for Thanksgiving or Easter. I think it was Easter, and she asked my dad, "Hey Phil, there's something weird growing up inside this plant," and she had transplanted a plant into a bigger pot and got the soil from out back. It was marijuana. So apparently someone was rolling marijuana out behind the dentist office, and and so she had marijuana growing, and my uncle was like, "Hey, let's roll it, let's dry it up and roll it," and she's like, "No," she put it down the garbage disposal.
And reducing high energy.
Yeah.
So don't hate your home. Pick up the phone.
Yeah. Well, we stopped before anything went, but she was appalled. But I mean, my dad was like, "Yeah, someone must have been out back there rolling." But that brings up a good point. So if you make your own weed and roll it, are they literally going to be, "Show me your papers"? Get it. We want to see that paper. We want to make sure that paper came from a dispensary. Now you can go with that one if you want.
Entertained and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable and effective. The WYSL station's the voice of liberty. Call 346-3000 to advertise.
Sharpe Way Radio on the WYSL stations.
Yes, it is Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way Radio, WYSL, Rochester, New York, here every Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. So happy you give me a chunk of your afternoon. I do appreciate it. I want to grab some of the chat. We had some great calls today, and I appreciate it. I also want to grab the chat, too, because I know a lot of you are watching online, whether you're watching on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. I appreciate this goes live on about 8 different platforms, so I'm glad people are watching it on other places. And, of course, this is a terrestrial radio station, so I'm so happy for those who are listening on terrestrial radio also. It's great. Vasquez says, keep the government out of the cannabis industry. Let the growers sell directly to the public. Right now, they do it in the underground market in the form of pop-ups. This part people don't even talk about. And if you remember when I was running for office, I spoke often about trying to help New York State farmers. They might say, Larry, not every farmer wants to grow weed. You're right. But shouldn't the farmers who want to grow weed do it? If you want to grow cannabis products, you should be able to. Grow it, create craft grows, create your own brand of cannabis product, whether you want to bake them into a brownie or you want to sell them to be rolled, whatever, smoked, whatever you feel appropriate. The more farmers who do that, less of them have to be bought up by big farms. Smaller farmers can survive. Now, they can either become cannabis farmers if they choose to, or make that one cash crop and still grow other things that will supplement. Up to them, the farmer decides. But not just that. More people growing cannabis, they aren't growing other things, which will hopefully raise the price of the other things. If everybody's growing tomatoes, tomato price is going to go down. But if a bunch of people start growing cannabis, the farmers who want to keep growing tomatoes, they're going to have a higher price and be able to negotiate better because there's less of them. This is a win for everybody. I think your point, Vasquez, is exactly correct. I want more farmers to have more choices. Again, if you don't like cannabis products and you don't want to sell them, you don't want to use them, you don't want to grow them, don't. Let other people who want to do it. It will help you in the long run. You're completely correct. People don't realize that this is actually hurting farmers too. Because who's also winning? As I mentioned, the Office of Cannabis Management. When I was chatting with Roger about the idea of, if I'm on the board and I sell furniture, more importantly, what if I'm on the board, the Office of Cannabis Management Board, and I'm part of a financial institution, which is very common. That financial institution will often invest in real estate. Happens constantly. In fact, real estate now is the largest lobby right now in New York State. So what will happen? Well, I'll put my money into some real estate hedge fund, and they'll buy up all the land to put cannabis plants on it. Yeah, they don't care about cannabis. They care about the money they make from it, and then the money they get in return from buying up all the land, the rent they're going to make. So they care about. So you get that because you make rules for who can buy, how they can buy, what are the deals that can be made, and only big companies like your hedge fund can figure it out. So you create a maze that only your lawyers can get through. You say, well, Larry, you're making that up. You have any evidence of that? Yes, it's called a bit license. For those who don't know, as we destroyed Bitcoin in New York State, a guy named Lawsky, literally who worked for the government, created a maze on how you have to get through to get your bit license. Then he quit and became a consultant, getting paid 6 figures so that you could hire him to get you through the maze that he created. I'm not making that up. That's true. The guy's name's Lawsky. Check it yourself if you want to. That literally happened. That's our bit license. Bit license is a massive grift by a brilliant guy. I mean, Lawsky's brilliant. It's completely unethical, but it's legal and brilliant. And this cannabis is exactly the same thing. They create the mazes, then you pay them to get through the maze. Absolutely true. Yes. So Ishmael says, make legal marijuana is great, but you have another problem, government bureaucracy destroying the weed business. Not destroying the weed business. That's not 100% true. Destroying weed small business. That's true. Big business is going to thrive because they're going to use the government against us. Larry, how do you know that? Already happened in California. This same thing in California. You remember when earlier in the show, Sean called and he said the tax on cannabis in Michigan is 3 times higher than anything else. Same concept in California and here in New York too. California's been so bad though, that there was literally a black market right there. The black market never went away. Same thing in Colorado. The black market stays. The black market was so strong in California that the legal weed growers got mad and said, these guys are killing us here. They don't have to pay the taxes. The black market's killing us. They went to the government of California. And the state government of California was savvy. And they said, you know, you're right. Let's even out the taxes and make it fair for everybody. No, I'm lying. They would never do that. California would never do that. I'm totally lying. California said, okay, great. They then took their police force, I'm not joking, and went and raided all the farms, confiscated all of the weed from the black market, then paid a consultant to burn all of the illegal black market weed. I wish I was joking. That was absolutely true. So your taxpayer dollars went to grab farmers who were trying to make money, small farmers, punishing them all, and then paid a consultant to burn all of that weed to get rid of it all. That actually happened in California. That will happen here. Ishmael, you are semi-correct. They will destroy small business, but big business will be just fine. Absolutely. So yeah. The libertarian lady says, also when the government gets involved in regulation of plants, they get to control with GMO seeds. Ooh, very valid point. This goes back to another piece. As government gets involved, they decide what seeds are the right seeds, what marijuana is the right marijuana, all those things. I don't want that. I want you to be able to put what you want in your body, how you see fit, or not. Right? Again, look, I'm square. The only drug I use is caffeine. I do use a lot of that drug, but that's my drug is caffeine. I don't do any of these other drugs at all. But you know what? It doesn't matter if I do. I don't run your life unless you want me to. I'm happy to run your life if you want me to. But then again, that's voluntary. You can decide, Larry Sharpe, please run my life. I'm happy to run your life if you ask me to. But unless you ask me to, it's your life. You do as you see fit. So yes, it's a point I hadn't even thought of. Thank you so much. Gene says, brownies, special brownies. Well, this is something that people don't realize. Once you allow a farmer, or anyone, but I'm using farmers in general, who are already accustomed to selling products, whether those are pies or vegetables or soups, or many of them sell, if you've ever been upstate New York, they sell many different things. They cook things, make things, build things, and sell them. It's a common thing. Well, why wouldn't they make brownies or edibles of some sort? Why wouldn't they make a bread, cupcake? I don't even know what they would make. But again, Gene, I don't have to know. They are the farmer. They know their communities, and maybe their communities like cupcakes. It's fine. They should do what they feel is appropriate. You are right. I completely agree. Guys, I want to say thank you so much. I hope you see that every time I talk about these issues, it's because I want local people to do well, because I want this state to grow, because this is a great state that's just broken and we can fix it. Thank you for giving me a turn every afternoon. I will see you all very soon.